This is DD India. You're watching the Defense Dynamics, and I'm Danveer Singh from New Delhi. As India unveils CATS Warrior prototype, we will try explain what these CATS are. Why fighter jet engine making is such a big challenge, we'll try and explain that as well. Further in this program, we'll try to figure out if Trump can really halt the war in Ukraine after January the 20th. We'll also tell you the latest on India-Maldives defense ties and what is going on in Afghanistan-India relationship. All this and much more in next 30 minutes. But before we begin, let's take a look at the global defense headlines. The Indian Navy plans to procure 12 extra unmanned underwater vehicles, also known as XLUUVs, to strengthen its maritime domain awareness and combat capabilities. These XLUUVs can serve as a force multiplier, taking some of the roles of conventional submarines. Turkey is developing a missile with a range of 2,000 kilometers, President Erdogan said in a televised speech on 6 January. This is twice the range he has previously given to his country's missile program. Lockheed Martin Missile will build the next lot of precision strike missiles launched from M142 High Mobility Artillery Rocket System, or the HIMARS. They'll also be fired from M270 Multiple Rocket System, the MLRS. These PRS ammunition has a threshold range of 400 kilometers. It replaces the Army Tactical Missile System, the ATAC-AMS. Germany's parliament green-lighted the procurement of Type 127 air defense frigates for the German Navy. Its capabilities are to include ballistic and hypersonic missile defense, as well as the precision strike capability. The ships will also be integrated with the US Aegis Combat Management System. The Indian Ministry of Defense has issued a request for information to procure 23 mm counter unmanned aerial vehicle ammunition for the Indian Army. They will be fired from Zu-23 anti-aircraft cannon system and ZSU-23x4 Shilka self-propelled anti-aircraft gun in service with the Indian Army's Corps of Air Defense. Ahead of the Aero India 2025, which is scheduled to be held next month, Hindustan Aeronautics Limited has achieved a significant milestone by conducting the engine ground run for full-scale demonstrator of combat air teaming system, the CATS Warrior, on January 11th of 2025. It can be recalled that India has been developing CATS, which involves light combat aircraft Tejas as mothership platform, along with components such as Hunter, Alpha and the Warrior. On January 11th of 2025, Hindustan Aeronautics Limited shared an image of CATS Warrior. The announcement stated, successfully conducted the engine ground run of a full-scale demonstrator. This milestone marks a critical step in the development of this advanced unmanned aerial vehicle. Before CATS Warrior takes its maiden flight, several steps are essential, like the engine ground runs, taxi trials, static tests or the structural integrity test, flight readiness review and the final first flight. CATS Warrior is being developed as an autonomous wingman drone capable of taking off and landing on land and at sea from an aircraft carrier. It will team up with the existing Indian Air Force fighter platforms, including the Tejas, AMCA, TEDBF, Sukhoi 30 MKI and Jaguar, which will act as its mothership. The CATS Warrior is primarily envisioned for the IAF's use, and a similar, smaller version will be designed for the Indian Navy. It will be controlled by the mothership and accomplish tasks such as scouting, absorbing enemies' fire, attacking the targets if necessary with internal and external pylons weapons, or sacrifice itself by crashing into the target. It will fly back for missions within the combat radius of 350 kilometers and for a long-range mission with combat radius of 800 kilometers, where it will sacrifice itself crashing into the target. As it is an unmanned asset, it can be directed towards a target and sacrificed in case it cannot be flown back to the territory. The HAL's combat air teaming is a composite amalgamation of a manned fighter aircraft acting as a mothership, supported by a number of swarming UAV and UCAVs. The objective is to make artificially intelligent, high-altitude surveillance drone, air launch platform, and loitering munitions with full situational awareness to take out enemy targets from longer distance without human intervention. Recently at 21st Subroto Mukherjee seminar, Indian Air Force Chief Air Marshal A.P. Singh expressed concerns over increased militarization of China and Pakistan, saying that forces were growing at a rapid pace at India's northern and the western borders. The Indian Air Force Chief has also expressed concerns over delay in India's indigenous fighter program, especially the Tejas Mark 1 Alpha project, which is currently hindered by slow supply of GE F404 jet engines from the United States. India has been trying to indigenously develop its own jet engine, Kaveri, but it is yet to meet required standards. So let's try and understand what are the challenges in building an indigenous fighter jet engine.
We have our concerns from the northern as well as the western adversary. They are all, both of them are increasing their air forces at a very rapid pace. As far as China is concerned, it is not just the numbers. Even the technology is going at a very rapid pace. We just saw that recent flight of the new generation fighter which they have pulled out, the stealth fighter.
The development of a fighter aircraft jet engine is a monumental endeavor that requires advanced engineering, significant financial investment, and a robust industrial base. Fighter jet engines are among the most complex machines ever created, serving as the heart of the aircraft by providing the thrust necessary for supersonic speeds, agility, and combat performance. The journey begins with defining performance requirements based on intended role of the aircraft. Engineers conduct extensive research on aerodynamics, thermodynamics, and material science to conceptualize a design that maximizes efficiency, thrust, and durability. Conceptual simulations and wind tunnel testing are used to validate initial designs. Jet engines operate under extreme conditions with components exposed to temperatures exceeding 1500 degrees centigrade and immense mechanical stresses. Advanced materials such as titanium alloys, single crystal superalloys, and ceramics are developed and selected to withstand these harsh conditions while maintaining structural integrity and reducing weight. Each component, such as the compressor, turbine, combustor, and nozzle, is meticulously designed and tested. The high-pressure compressor must achieve maximum air compression with minimal energy loss, while the turbine must efficiently extract energy from the hot gases to power the compressor. After individual components are developed, they are integrated into a prototype engine. This stage involves aligning subsystems for optimal performance and ensuring compatibility with the aircraft. Advanced manufacturing techniques such as 3D printing and precision machining plays a vital role in achieving the required tolerances. The prototype undergoes rigorous ground and flight testing to validate performance, reliability, and safety. Engineers assess the engine's behavior under various operational scenarios including extreme temperatures, altitudes, and stress conditions. Data collected during testing is used to refine the design before obtaining certification for operational use. India's gas turbine research establishment, the GTRE, which is part of Defence Research and Development Organization, the DRDO, has announced that Kaveri engine has been cleared for in-flight testing. marking a significant development in India's indigenous aero engine development program, according to the latest reports. The non-afterburning Kaveri engine, developed to power India's first stealth unmanned combat aerial vehicle, Ghatak, has been cleared for in-flight testing. GTRE announced this on December 23rd of 2024. The engine is now ready for real-world performance evaluations aboard a specialized flying testing bed. In this phase of testing, dry Kaveri engine will be mounted on an FTB to evaluate its response to various flight conditions, its integration with aircraft systems, and its overall reliability in a dynamic and a challenging environment. The engine's endurance and efficiency in extended flight will also be tested. FTB for in-flight testing of dry Kaveri engine is a modified IL-76 fixed-wing 4-engine turbofan aircraft. During the trials, Kaveri dry engine will replace one of the IL-76-4 engines. The testing location would be Gromov Flight Research Institute, located near Moscow, Russia, where modified IL-76 is based. GTRE hopes to complete all tests by 2025 and commence limited series production by the end of 2025, early 2026. The GTRE hopes to complete all Kaveri tests by the end of 2025 and commence limited series production by the turn of 2026. The GTRE aims to develop a 90 kN engine to replace the American 404 engines on Tejas Mark 1A fighter jets within the next decade. The gas turbine research establishment, the GTRE, is actively pursuing a significant leap in India's defense capabilities. Once the dry Kaveri plus the afterburner section is successfully tested on the flying test bed, the GTRE is likely to propose a government funding request for the development of 90 kN engine. This new engine, an enhanced variant of current Kaveri engine aimed at replacing the F-404 engines on Tejas Mark 1A fighter jets within the next decade. The primary objective behind this development is to create a new generation of Kaveri engines capable of generating 20 to 25% more thrust than the existing dry Kaveri engine. This increase in power will be achieved by refining the core of Kaveri engine, which is currently under development. Once the enhanced core is validated, it will be coupled with the new afterburner section, enable the engine to generate 90 kN of thrust, making it a capable replacement for F-404 engines currently powering the Tejas Mark A fleet. Unlike the F-404 engines, which suffers from 7 to 8% power degradation in hot conditions, the Kaveri engine is designed to be flat-rated. This means it will maintain its thrust capabilities even in the extreme heat and high-altitude environments typical of India's operational conditions. The proposed Kaveri 90 kN engine is expected to make a substantial difference to the Tejas Mark 1A program. It will replace the current F-404 engines in the mid-life of these fighter jets, helping to keep them operational for next several decades. As the Indian Air Force plans to induct over 220 Tejas Mark 1 and Mark 1A jets over next 7 to 8 years. Moving on to geopolitics and the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war. A question everyone is curious to get the answer to is whether Trump could end the war and how. While some say Trump will end up emboldening Putin, who aims at destroying Ukraine, while many are optimistic, including Zelensky. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has expressed hope that US President-elect Donald Trump's unpredictability can help end the war with Russia. Trump, who takes office on 20th January, has said he will end the nearly 3-year conflict in 24 hours once he is in power, a claim that has drawn skepticism from Kyiv, which fears it will be forced to give up land for peace. He is very strong and unpredictable, and I would really like to see President Trump's unpredictability applied to Russia. I believe he really wants to end the war. Zelensky said this in an interview that was aired on the Ukrainian television. President-elect Donald Trump recently said that his team is setting up a meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin to discuss the end of Russia's war on Ukraine. He wants to meet, and we are setting it up. President Putin wants to meet, Trump said at Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach, Florida. He has said that publicly, and we have to get that war over with. That's a bloody mess.
I will get the problem solved, and I will get it solved in rapid order, and it will take me no longer than one day.
The Kremlin said on Friday that it is open to such dialogue. The Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said there is a mutual readiness for a meeting, and it looks like things will start to move after Trump enters Oval Office on the January 20th. Reports of a potential Trump-Putin meeting came after US President-elect speak for a special envoy to Ukraine, former US Lieutenant General Keith Kellogg, who suggested it would take 100 days from Trump's inauguration to nail down a deal to end the war. Speaking on Fox News, General Kellogg said the time frame would suffice to make sure that this solution is solid, it is sustainable, and that this war ends so that we stop the carnage. Ambassador Kurt Volker, a former US ambassador to NATO and former US Special Representative for Ukraine negotiations, has said that getting Ukraine to negotiate, getting Ukraine to find a reasonable position, there is not difficult. They are ready to do that. He further added that it is Putin who wants to take over and eliminate Ukraine as a separate national identity, and getting him to give up on that goal, that's a tough part. The devastation in the 3-year war can be gauged out of the casualty figures revealed by Zelensky last December, when he declared that 43,000 Ukrainian soldiers have been killed, 370,000 wounded. That compares with 6 lakh dead and wounded reported for Russia. Zelensky announced these figures in a Telegram post after United States President-elect Donald Trump said Ukraine had ridiculously lost 4 lakh soldiers in a war started by Russian President Vladimir Putin almost 3 years ago. Remember when Muizu had come to power in Maldives? The relations between India and Maldives came under severe strain. Muizu, seen as a pro-China leader, insisted on withdrawal of Indian military personnel operating 3 military platforms in the country by May 10th of year 2024. Repatriation of some 90 Indian military personnel stationed in the Maldives was a key pledge of Muizu during the presidential campaign. It just took less than a year to understand the realities and reset India-Maldives relations. A lot has changed ever since. The election of Dr. Mohammad Muizu as President of Maldives marked a significant turning point in the island nation's political and diplomatic landscape. Running on the slogan, India Go Out, Muizu's campaign capitalized on growing sentiments among some Maldivians who viewed India's influence in their country as excessive. His victory in 2023 highlighted the complex interplay between domestic politics, sovereignty, and international relations. However, since coming to power, a lot has changed, showcasing the evolving dynamics of governance and diplomacy. The India Go Out slogan was rooted in concerns over perceived Indian military presence in Maldives and fears of erosion of sovereignty. Many opposition figures accused the previous administration of President Ibrahim Mohammed Solih of aligning too closely with India, citing the leasing of military equipment and presence of Indian military personnel as evidence. Muizu's campaign successfully tapped into these concerns, promising to curtail India's influence and pursue a more independent foreign policy. India and Maldives have now begun to revitalize their military relations, which had strained following a change in regime in the island nation. Defense Minister Rajnath Singh and his Maldivian counterpart Mohammad Ghassan Mamoon held talks in New Delhi recently, reviewing various aspects of bilateral defense and security cooperation. They affirmed their commitment to work closely in realizing the joint vision for India-Maldives Comprehensive Economic and Maritime Security Partnership. India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh reaffirmed India's readiness to support Maldives in capability enhancement for defence preparedness, including provisioning of defence platforms and assets to augment its capabilities as per its national priorities and in line with New Delhi's Neighbourhood First policy and the vision of SAGA, that is security and growth for all in the region, according to an official statement issued by the Ministry of Defence. Mahmood was on his first official visit to India, appreciated India's historical role as first responder for Maldives and thanked New Delhi for assisting Male in augmenting modern infrastructural capacities and training of defence and security personnel. On the government of Maldives' request, India also handed over defence equipment and stores to Maldives, the Ministry of Defence statement further added. Let's go over to our northwestern neighbor Afghanistan. Even as Pakistan-Afghanistan relation deteriorated significantly in recent weeks, India's engagement with Taliban regime went up several notches. On January 8, India's Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri met the Taliban's acting Foreign Minister Amir Khan Muttaqi in Dubai. This is New Delhi's highest-ranking outreach to the Taliban regime thus far. Stepping up its outreach with Taliban rulers of Afghanistan, Indian Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri met with the regime's acting Foreign Minister Amir Khan Muttaqi in Dubai on 8th January of 2025. According to a statement by the Taliban Foreign Affairs Ministry, the discussions covered topics such as security concerns in Afghanistan, the need for India to engage in development projects and provide humanitarian assistance, and Afghanistan's use of Chabahar port in Iran to bring trade to conflict-ridden country. In line with Afghanistan's balanced and economy-focused foreign policy, the Islamic Emirate aims to strengthen political and economic ties with India as a significant regional and economic partner, as per the Taliban's statement. The meeting marked the highest level of dialogue between India and Taliban since the latter seized Kabul in the year 2021 in the month of August. In response to the request of the Afghan side, India will provide further material support in the first instance to health sector and for the rehabilitation of refugees. The two sides also discussed strengthening of sports, that is cricket cooperation, Indian Foreign Office said after the meeting. Afghanistan experts monitoring recent events are of the opinion that meeting marks a significant step as India appears to be working to meet the diplomatic requirements that would enable to comprehensively engage with the Taliban. At the heart of India's policy is the goal of regaining its lost influence and re-establishing its connections in Kabul. India aims to restore its influence in the region when China has significantly stepped up its presence since August 2021. It is quite evident that India is reassessing its diplomatic stance and working to stabilize its relationship with the current Taliban leadership. The engagement includes trade, historical ties, Chabahar, the International North-South Transport Corridor, and the China Factor. In November 2024, a senior foreign ministry official, Mr. J.P. Singh, held multiple meetings with Taliban representatives, including a notable meeting with acting Defence Minister Mullah Muhammad Yaqub. Way back in June 2022, India sent a technical team to Kabul to coordinate the delivery of humanitarian assistance and to see how India could support the Afghan people. Since the opening of the technical mission, the Taliban have been demanding to place their own representative in Delhi. India has since permitted a Taliban representative, Ikramuddin Kamil, to work at the Afghan consulate in Mumbai. The Taliban subsequently called for easing of visa processes for Afghan students, patients, and businessmen. This meeting at Dubai will be seen as very opportune by the Taliban regime, which is under military pressure and other stresses from Pakistan at the moment. India's pragmatic engagement appears to be a part of larger compact with the Taliban, where India demands that Afghan soil not to be used for any anti-India activity in return of India permitting limited engagement and continued humanitarian support. In contrast, Pakistan has always viewed Afghanistan as a geography to achieve strategic depth and influence. This is more so after the US withdrawal of 2021. The Taliban's relation with Pakistan has soared due to issues related to alleged cross-border terrorism and recent Pakistani airstrikes on Afghan territory, killing militant members of Tehrik-e-Taliban Pakistan, resulting in deaths of many innocent Afghans as collateral. And India has condemned these airstrikes. These moves are largely a consequence of flawed policy that Pakistan has adopted in dealing with its neighbors, privileging narrow military objectives over sane diplomatic goals. India and the Taliban have over a period developed a pragmatic understanding. For Afghans, the difference between the two approaches is absolutely clear. India is steadily overcoming technological challenges in enhancing its air force capabilities. With significant delay in development of Kaveri jet engine have posed obstacles, the future appears promising with ongoing advancements and renewed focus on indigenous innovations, CATS Warrior being the case in point. On the geopolitical front, India has witnessed a positive shift in its relations with the Maldives, with both nations pressing the reset button to strengthen bilateral ties. Meanwhile, India's pragmatic approach towards engaging with the Taliban regime in Afghanistan reflects a balanced strategy aimed at safeguarding regional stability and its strategic interests. At the global level, achieving lasting peace in Ukraine necessitates a diplomatic resolution rooted in statesmanship. This requires addressing legitimate security concerns of all parties involved to create a framework of sustainable peace and stability. With this, we come to the end of this episode. See you next week with new stories and their analysis. Thanks for watching, and do post your comments on social media with #DD with Danvi. Goodbye and take care.